Hey, seventh graders. So today you're going to be working on lesson or session 3.2 for writing. And what you're going to need in order to do this session is a workspace. So you can either work in your digital notebook. There is a slide coming up where you can complete your work, or you can use the paper that you were given in class. And I'll remind you of what that is shortly. To complete your work session today, you're going to need a writing utensil, and if you choose to, you can use colored pencils as well, and a good attitude. So today our focus is on getting to know our character even better. So developing our character even more than what we started with earlier this week, whether you did this session on Monday or did this session yesterday. It's kind of a continuation of that session on developing your character and imagining who they are. So, today I want to teach you that it takes time to develop and create realistic characters. Writers need to put thought into what kind of person the character is on the inside and the outside, and what the character wants to achieve. So, today we are going to work through a graphic organizer to help you put some thought into that. So, there are two parts of this graphic organizer. In part one, you're going to imagine what your character actually looks like, and you're going to make a sketch of that character. I highly suggest doing that on paper, and then taking a picture and uploading it to the next slide or the work slides that are coming up. There are other details that we want you to consider as well. So there are different boxes with prompts or questions that ask you to consider positive and negative traits of your character. So, what are some of those positive quality traits, like being kind, or hardworking, being brave or courageous, being someone who is loyal and responsible? Um, so think of words that you want to fit who you're building your character to be that are positive. Then you're going to think on the flip side of some negative character traits. Just like you and I, we each have positive and negative qualities about us. The same is true for the characters that we write into stories. So think of some things that maybe aren't so positive about your character. Is your character stubborn, or maybe your character is dishonest? And that builds to a bigger problem. Maybe your character is super sarcastic, or is kind of like a bully towards other people, or makes people feel intimidated. So think about some of the negative things that you've envisioned for your character. Think about people who matter to your character. So, who are important people, and what important relationships does your character have in their life? And then lastly, consider a secret that your character might have, and maybe that plays into the problem within your story. So, all of that you will be recording on the graphic organizer in your workspace. And that is part number one, a sketch, and then considering those three things and jotting down some ideas. Part number two, this is the main purpose and point of this session. So we want you to think about your main character's big desire or motivation or thing that they really care about, the thing that they really want or want to achieve and that they're working towards in your story. So, very specifically for the story that you're creating about this character, what are they trying to achieve? What is their big desire? From there, once you've thought about what is their big desire, and I'll share an example coming up, we want you to think about the small steps that your character might need to take in order to achieve that bigger goal. So, what we are going to do is fill in the organizer on your slide coming up. And here is my example. So this is the character that I pictured for my story. Her name is Maggie, which is information that I have missing right now, but her name is Maggie. Her friends and her parents call her Megs. She is a middle school girl, so she is in seventh grade. Um, and she's kind of having a rough year where she just isn't really acting like herself. So let's learn more about Maggie. So Maggie's positive qualities are that she's witty, she has a good sense of humor. I might also add that she's typically a good student. Um, Negative traits, she's super, super stubborn, and she's self conscious. She worries about what people think about her. Important relationships for my character that I pictured, her sister is really important to her, who's older, and then her brother is also an important person in her life, but her brother is off at college, and that's a recent thing. So that's a change in their house, that their older brother is no longer there. And then a secret that I pictured my character having or imagined for my character is that she wants to be part of a club, but she thinks she's going to be made fun of for wanting to be part of something that is just not something she typically would do. So she's worried about taking that step and actually doing that thing. And then this is part 2 of my work. So here's my example for part 2. In my story, it's about a girl who's just really having a tough time in middle school. She doesn't like her ELA teacher, and she butts heads with her a lot. And she doesn't want to complete a writing assignment that her teacher is asking her to do. And so that's the conflict that my story centers on. And then this is the big thing that my character wants. She wants to feel like herself again because she just doesn't right now. And so that's really what she's struggling with throughout the entire story. So then one thing I pictured in my story is that she admits that she made a mistake or admits that she was wrong and has to apologize to her teacher. And then something else is that she would talk through her feelings with a friend, a counselor, or a parent or sibling. I'm not sure what else might help my character achieve that bigger goal of just feeling more normal again. So, do you see how these 2 smaller pieces would allow for the bigger thing to happen? That is what you are trying to think of today. You're trying to think of a big desire and then smaller things that would lead to them achieving that big desire. Your workspace is on the next slide. So you can either work on paper. So this is the sheet that we were given in class, and it looks very similar to what you see on the screen right now. This is my recommended mode because then you can just fill everything out on here, draw your picture all in one spot, and then upload the picture of this to slide number 6 of your slideshow, or your second option is to type and fill in all of these boxes and then later upload just the picture of what you pictured your character being or what you pictured your character looking like. So that is your work today, writers. The last thing that we're going to ask you to do for the share is make sure that you go back to Google Classroom, find the day's assignment, so find 3.2, and then share something new that you learned about your character today. You are the creator of who this person is. You want them to be super realistic, and you want them to have motivations and desires and personality traits and just an overall sense that this person is super, super realistic and real. So in what ways did you imagine them being a real person today? And what is one of the new things that you can share with me? For me, I shared that I imagine my character being stubborn, and that's a new idea I came up with today. After you've shared, go ahead and click the Turn In button. Once you go back to the Google Classroom tab, make sure you click the Turn In button, and then you are done with your work for today. So awesome work today, writers. Make sure that you are keeping up with our sessions as we move forward.